Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Becoming Podcast. I'm Sunny, and I am here with my co host, Tammy. And today we have the pleasure of our guest, which is Masako. And so, with the Becoming Podcast, we are on a journey of storytelling. We are sharing healing stories, becoming stories with women who fall all across the different spectrums of life. And so today we are honored to have a guest who also has a podcast that's very similar to ours. So we're really hoping that we get to dive into the similarities that we have. And so, Tammy, I'm going to let you take it off since this is somebody you have a bit more of a personal relationship with.
Yes, I've participated in your podcast before, Masako. When I reached out to you, because of course you came right top to mind of one of the women that are like in my mind leading these conversations. Who better to be a part of the show? So my first question is, when I asked you, you gave me the response of yes, full body yes. So what does that mean, and why did you say yes?
Uh, I don't know where to start, but podcasting is something I just started about 4.5 years ago. I'm on season 5. I've done 150 episodes. When I first started, I never had a desire to do a podcast. That was not the reason why I started it. I just ended up taking a podcasting course because I found a life coach who was teaching that course, and that was the only thing that she was offering at that time. So I was like, I don't have any desire to do a podcast, but since she's offering it, I'm just gonna go ahead and take it. And we had a weekly homework assignment, and one of those homework was decide a title of your podcast and record a trailer. And at that point, I had the decision to make. Am I gonna just do this for the sake of doing the homework? Or
Mhm.
am I actually gonna start a podcast and make it into a thing? So whenever I hear that people are starting podcasts, I'm like, yes, go for it.
I
Because
guess
the
that's where
journey,
I'm kind of falling right now, right? That it's
yes.
like this for now has been a homework assignment, but right, do we make the decision to continue on or not? So yeah, I'm so glad that that's where your story started as well.
Yeah.
Yes, because 4.5 years ago, when I first started the podcast, I never knew what the journey was going to be. I had no idea how much depth this podcasting journey was going to become. First of all, I had so much resistance to do a podcast because English is my second language. And I just felt so uncomfortable
Mm,
speaking in public to begin with. So I'm like,
mhm,
who am I to do a podcast when I
mm,
have so much against me, right? And then once I decided to do a podcast, the second question was like, what am I going to talk about? I mean, it's a podcast,
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Then I had to sit quiet with myself and
mm,
ask ask myself, like, what is the important message that you want to share? What is
mm,
the legacy? What is your life really about? And then once I started asking myself the question, the answer was already within me.
mm.
Meditation. Of course, meditation has been the biggest game changer in your life. Of course, you're going to share that. Of course, that's going to be the podcast title. Why not meditate?
Yes. Yes. So good. I love how you had a yes, great big body yes for yourself, and you carried that yes forward using your words, even despite believing everything was against you. And that is the essence in me. If you described a woman, that is woman. Like
Yeah.
everything I feel like is like a resistance again, and I'm going to do it anyway because there's that something inside of you, that God spark, if you will, something in there that pulls that forward. So what a great story. And I love the parallel with Sunny's too.
Yes. And I'm so excited for you too to continue this journey because what you're gonna find out like about yourself and other people. It's not just touching other people, it is your individual journeys as well. I never liked my voice,
Mm,
but once I started podcasting, once I started editing my own voice, I had to listen to my recorded voice over and over again. And I feel like most of us feel like this cringy,
It's
since
so awkward.
right?
It is so awkward.
Because that's not how we are hearing our voice.
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
The recorded voice sounds so different, and we get like, it's just uncomfortable. But I got used to it, hearing my own
Mm.
voice over and over. And then I kind of like became okay with it. And
Mm.
some people gave me compliments about my voice, like, oh, I love your voice. Your voice is so soothing and relaxing. So I'm like, really? And from there, I just fell in with my own voice. And
What a
that,
metaphor again for women
Yes.
yeah,
who
right?
Yeah.
like do not have a voice and, may feel like they don't have a voice, certainly don't have amplified voices in
Mhm.
comparison to some other people in the world in general. Now we're talking general, but the fact that not only did you use your voice, you fell in love with it, or other people fell in love with it. I mean, that is so sweet.
Hmm.
Here,
That
we're
was
not there yet,
something.
but it's sweet to hear.
Oh, it is coming. That's something I never expected to experience. And
We're on
I don't
hours
then,
and
know. I'm
hours of
definitely
listening.
in the ooh, right. Like this is
And you're
nice.
amazing at
I
it.
know
But
you
I
sound
don't like
amazing.
listening to myself. Like, right, sitting here and you're trying to add like the subtitles and right, it's just playing over and over and over. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, ew.
You're natural.
I
So that's
believe, yeah.
powerful for the voice, and it is 100%
Yes.
in line with our public service announcement. And this is the way that we bring in the health spectrum because both of Sunny and my background are from the health side of things, and we don't really have folks on the show that don't believe energy is everything because from our perspective, your voice, your signature of your voice, the essence that only you have in your voice is the frequency. It is your pharmacy, if you will. That's what we call it. Your frequency is your pharmacy. Not only your whole body being, but this particular aspect of a woman and I put a thing out about the resonance that men and women, but we cast out. And so the fact that you did that, fell in love with it, others fell in love with it, I think it's 100% in line with our public service announcement. Use your
Yes.
voice, women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like it at first.
Yes. And if someone else doesn't like it too,
Hmm.
Yeah.
use it. Great, great, great lead in. So it's
Yeah.
a great lead in. And then you went on another journey. So you podcast, and then
Yes.
I not too long ago when I emailed you like, oh, I'm also doing this now. And then eventually I want to get to the Joe Dispenza storyline.
Yes. So yeah, by the time I started the podcast, I was still working in the legal industry. But before that, while I was still working in the legal industry, I got to know meditation. And mostly through Dr. Joe Dispenza. I read his book, one of his books called Becoming Supernatural. And I can say that was one of the most life-changing things that happened for me. I
Mhm.
was tapping into meditation here and there, but I didn't have faith in it. At
Mm.
that point, I was going through one of the toughest seasons of my life. I was newly divorced. I had a young daughter, and I was working full time. I was physically, mentally, emotionally just exhausted. And little by little, my physical health went down and I had to do something. I had to change something so that I can still get up in the morning and take care of her and go to work. And I did a lot of biohacking type of stuff. I started implementing different lifestyle changes. And along the way, I implemented meditation as one of those many changes without believing in it. I was just desperate, desperate enough to try anything. If this makes me feel a little bit happier, a little bit better, then I'm just gonna do it. I don't know how to do it properly, but let me just do it. So I
That sounds
started,
like my feng shui journey.
oh,
was like, I don't know anything about this, but if I move this plant over here and turn my bed this way and put a crystal up here in this direction, if it helps, hallelujah, I will
Right?
take it. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is what the internet says is feng shui, so I am going to give it a try.
Yeah, and I just want to
Definitely been
clarify
down
for
that
anybody who's
road before.
listening, that's Sunny's biohack. And some people might not be familiar, and it's a great one, by the way. Some people might be familiar with the term biohack or biohacker. So I'm just going to say that it's a um, term that was coined. It's like shortcut to traditional methods, and it could take the shape of meditation. It could take the shape of saunas and earthing and supplements and shortcuts, if you will, to and they're not easy, by the way. I'm not saying these shortcuts, quote, are easy. They're just kind of disrupting the normal path that you might get to the same thing. So it's a long answer for biohacking, but if you weren't familiar with that word, that's kind of what it means. Taking the fast track, not the easy track necessarily, to try to get yourself into a different um, algorithm for healing.
Yeah.
Time skipping a little.
Yes. So I never really believed in meditation until I read Joe Dispenza's book. And in that book, there was all the scientific data that I needed to know. And there I was working in legal industry in downtown Chicago. I was so far away from spirituality, so to speak. So I needed to see the black and white hard numbers and data in order to subscribe to something like meditation.
Hmm.
But once I read it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is legit. I'm gonna really dive deep into it. And then I went through a meditation teacher training while I was still working in legal. And I had no intention to facilitate anything for anybody. I just wanted to deepen my own practice because I felt like this is a rabbit hole and I don't know how far this goes. And it feels magical. And if I
Hmm.
keep going, if I keep doing meditation, I think something amazing will happen.
And did it?
Yes, it continues. It continues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So share some of that magic, and then I'll have Sunny. We go back and forth in questions. But what was some of the magic that's happened?
Well, I would say that shift was not drastic or quick. The shift that I experienced was more gradual and subtle. Like
Mm,
at some point down the road after I started meditation practice, I caught myself like, wait, I have more mental space. I would normally be reacting to this type of stimulus, but I now am kind of pausing and examining what's going on and deciding how I want to respond instead of doing the knee-jerk reaction.
fabulous.
And another example that I can give is one day I was walking again downtown Chicago. I used to walk really fast from my place to office or wherever I was walking, and I saw an elderly Asian couple walking in front of me. And I would normally would be like bothered, like I have to get from here to point B and there's somebody who's walking slowly in front of me. Like I need to like go around them. But then, like, this thought came to me from somewhere like, what is the difference from this couple to my parents?
Mm,
What if there was a young girl who saw my parents walking slowly and saw them as bothersome? How
mm,
would that make me feel?
mm-hmm,
Somehow, meditation made me more compassionate, even
mm.
though I didn't think that was going to be one of the benefits. I was not expecting it at all, but it was one of those like, wow, is this one of those things, the effects of meditation practice that I've been doing? So it came in the very mysterious, unexpected ways.
And we are finding as we're talking to women that whether it's sudden or subtle and over time, that empathy and compassion has grown out of these stories. We've heard it in all of them. And so, and here we get to hear it again. So for the listeners, like taking the great yes steps leads to good medicine. If we can be more empathetic and more compassionate, because we keep hearing it. It's now part of the storyline. Hand it over to Sunny.
I wanted to go back to the piece that you mentioned about kind of being in the thick of it after divorce, single parent, going to work, trying to just get out of bed. What pieces of yourself do you think you have started to maybe that you lost and what it took for you to really kind of reclaim that? And do you feel like was it just the meditation or was there other practices or people that helped you get back to that space that you might have been, when you weren't feeling so much in the thick of things?
Mm, I think a lot of different things. Meditation was just one of them, but it was a big one. And then, um, along with meditation and going through the teacher training, I became more familiar with myself. I think that was the biggest change. Like along the way, throughout the marriage, I was married for 12 years. I kind of lost connection with myself.
Mm,
And I was numb, emotionally numb, physically numb. I couldn't really feel myself. I
Mm,
lost all of the access to my emotions. So in order to avoid certain negative emotions, we lose connection to every other emotions. And I guess I did not know that until that became how it was.
mm-hmm,
So little by little, I reclaimed my emotions back. Like feeling like, and meditation definitely helped me to get back to myself, examining what are my thoughts, what are my feelings, what parts of me is thinking that way and then feeling this way, and where do those things are coming from? Is this my own story? Am I like kind of subscribing to somebody else's narratives about
mm,
life? You know, there was
mhm.
one point when some like other people around me started finding out that I was going through a separation. I didn't really tell many people, but like mo my coworkers and people started finding out, and there were two main different groups of them that kind of formed on their own, on its own. And one group of my friends saw me as this little poor thing, the victim. I'm so sorry that you're going through this. You have to suffer. And the other group of people saw me as this empowered woman. Of course you can handle this. Of course you're gonna be a great mom. Of course you can, support yourself. And at that time I'm like, this is fascinating. So it's not me. It's not about me. It's not
Right.
about my situation. That's really neutral. It is how they perceive and project themselves if they were in my situation.
mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, that means I could make up my own projection.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to choose one or the other either. I could make up my own. I could create. I'm gonna be an empowered mother who is financially independent, who is taking her daughter with on trips and doing fun things, and I can create a new reality. It doesn't have to be other people's narratives. So that was like a big I guess, awareness of reclaiming myself in that
Mm-hmm.
journey.
I love you keep using the word reclaiming because that is the whole essence of the reclamation station. I'm also hearing we do this, Sunny and I always kind of put ourselves in the shoes of the listener. And I can only imagine that there's women out there that are in the midst of a separation or in the midst of a divorce, hearing like, oh, so this one's telling me this, and this one's giving me this advice, and maybe my mom or my parents or my family's giving me this advice. And you just gave women the freedom to say, like, information, but doesn't have to be your story. And I'm imagining that could feel very freeing to a listener because there's so many people giving you opinions. And so the way that you were able to like reflect and notice it was projection and opinion, possibly all well intended, was
Yeah.
through calming your own mind down.
Yeah.
And I know that people hear the word meditation because when I do retreats or talk about meditation, it kind of goes like this, right? They see me on a lotus flower and doing something like this with my hands or silly breathing. How do you describe meditation?
I think meditation is like becoming familiar with yourself and especially the divine part of who you are, spending time with that, the divine part of us.
Hmm, hmm. Did you have that experience, Sunny, when you in the course of your life with your marriage? And how did you get through it?
Yeah, I can definitely resonate with feeling that you begin to lose yourself and the connection with yourself. Even I lost, in introduction, I was the wife of, and I wasn't Sunny. And, that is kind of what my identity became was just the significant other to this person. And so I can not necessarily pinpoint when exactly I was ready to just be like, no, I'm me. But it took time to want to, like, I call it like my other life. That was that life. And this life, like, I'm Sunny, I am myself. And, I'm not just because I'm beside somebody, like, and that's where I definitely can feel that piece of just like reclaiming who I am. Like there was literally a moment I posted on my social media and a friend who knew me in my marriage, she was like, "Oh my gosh, you look so happy." And she was like, "I wish I got to know this version of you." And that was one of those like, whoa, I guess I didn't realize how poorly I was giving off the happy version of myself because I thought that I was masking all of this very well, And when I was able to be myself again and just feel, right, all the emotions again, it was okay for me to be happy and it was okay for me to be sad and it was okay for me to be fun. And I guess I didn't realize how much I was not living in that when I was in a situation that I knew I wasn't being my true self. I wasn't in my happiest state. And, it's like once I was out of it, I was like, I was depressed for a long time, just living depressed, thinking again, I'm hiding it because my kids are in activities, they're happy, they're thriving. And right, I have a home that I can go to, I drive a nice car, and all the things that right, you post the pretty parts online for people to see and then you sit at home by yourself and you're just kind of like, what am I doing?
I'm
And
so proud of
so,
you right now. I'm so proud of you right now.
yeah. And then, now it's kind of like I am owning the fact that, yes, I'm raising my children. I am their sole caretaker. I am the breadwinner of this household. It is me. I'm a little dog. And I'm doing life and like I am in such a better state than when I was I guess, financially in a better space with being in a two-parent household and all of that. But I'm like, I might have a little bit less, but I have so much more, especially when it comes to my mental space, as you said. Like, that's such a great way that, right, I'm not always knee-jerk reacting because of spilled milk. I'm not freaking out all the time. And I am able to just like, okay, we have paper towels, let's clean it up. Those kinds of moments. So I get that. I get that so much.
I love that all that just came through, even parts of you that I didn't know. I'm
Mhm.
thinking also, Masako, like if can you think listeners and put yourself in their shoes in a time where like if we were to ask you that's the self that you are now, what advice would you give to that person that the self that you were in that marriage. If you could like look back and see yourself in your old house, in your old marriage, knowing what you know now, what would
Um,
you say to that Masako in the house?
it will be okay.
Mhm.
Just trust what you know. You
Mhm.
don't have to have the whole picture.
Mhm.
You just need to know one next step, and then it has to come from your heart. As long as you're following your heart, then it will be okay. It will
Hmm.
be okay.
I
I
bet
keep
that feels
telling
really
Tammy that
good.
I have tattoos that keep coming up about these things. So, similar to that, I have a tattoo that says she took the leap and grew her wings along the way.
Oh,
Oh,
that's good because I know that people are hearing this and right in the middle of it, probably in their life, or they want to be out of
yeah,
it. And what a great, you know, thing to recommend is the one thing, the next one thing, and not the
yeah,
whole thing. Because most of us, especially I know myself and Sunny, like we want to do the 5, 10 things and we want this, right? One thing is not going to happen. Like we have this expectation, right? To do 10 and get to a place that we have set up in our mind. But the other thing that you said, which is wholly aligned with the show, that if the heart coherence and the heart resonance isn't the intention behind any of the steps, it's probably going to be a different journey that if you take the pause and say like, yeah, what is my heart asking me right now?
yeah.
Have a like a tip to share with people? Like, let's say they're in the thick of a moment and any of the skills that you've picked up, do you have a tip that your go-to? I have a couple of go-tos, but what are your go-tos when you're in like the moment?
Slowing down the breath
Hmm.
because it automatically regulates and calms down our nervous system without us trying. And then once you get to that like calm state, ask yourself honestly,
Yeah.
like from a third person's point of view, like, hey, what would you like to do?
Hmm.
Are
Hmm.
you not happy in this relationship? It's okay if you're not.
Hmm.
It's okay if you need to let that go.
Yeah.
It's okay if you did not know what the next 10 years look like at this moment.
Yes. Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great pieces. Great pieces. So the breath, what's a go-to for you, Sunny?
I would say that there will never be perfect timing
Mm.
for many things in life. And so, right, especially if we are talking about, finding yourself in a situation that you're unsure of, that there is no best time to leave. There is no best time to start a project. There is no best time. You sometimes, right, you just have to go for it and
Hmm.
figure it out and trust yourself that you will figure it out. Because I
Hmm.
think, again, at the beginning of this conversation, I think it started with that we as women in particular, sometimes we just get so pushed back in our own minds because we aren't trusting ourselves yet. We don't feel that we have the confidence to do something. And whether that's because of the way that we were raised to be more demure and to sit back and, let someone else take the lead or to stay quiet. And in another conversation we had about not taking up too much space. And sometimes we lose the confidence in ourselves and our minds. And
Hmm.
so we wait and we wait and we wait and we wait for when I lose these 10 pounds, then I'll be able to go out and do this. And when I get the education, then I'll be able to do that. And when I have a husband, I'll be
Point.
able to do this. And we're waiting and we're waiting, we're waiting for the perfect timing. And, when
So
the
good.
kids get this age, I'll be able to leave. And when this happens. And so there is no right time. And right, if you're feeling it in your spirit that it's time to start, it's time to stop, you just have to say, I trust myself that I'm going to get through this. I'm going to figure it out. And I want this part of my life to start happening now. And right now is when I have to do it.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
both really prophetically talking about how women in general outsource their power, and both on every, I mean, the smallest of decisions. We're trained to outsource. And then we get in work environments where we outsource, and then in homes and friendships and really outsource. So you both prophetically have described you're going inward, you're checking with self first, then you're taking inspired action. You're not waiting for a yes, you're not waiting for permission, you're not waiting for allowance. That's not an everyday practice for most of the West. I mean, I don't know about all of the world, but definitely in the Western world, we are waiting for permission to do things. And we don't necessarily even realize how we've bought into that programming. And so the other thing that I'm thinking about too is your daughter. Like, do you think that the way that you raise your daughter is different than you would have pre journey of Masako? I mean, probably because but anything distinctively coming out? Because when you change, your daughter changes. We talk a lot about mtDNA, and anything you're doing with your frequency is naturally having an impact on your daughter's genetics because of mtDNA.
Absolutely. Well, I I mean, I completely changed my life. Not just after the divorce, but about 4 years ago, I left Chicago. I left the legal industry and started the podcast and moved to Florida and started breath work, facilitating breath work, and everything about my life has changed. And she has been the witness of the entire journey.
Wow.
And this podcast recording is coming up at the very divine timing as well for me. I just finished 150th episodes for my podcast, and
Congratulations.
thank you. I am turning 50 years old this month, and I am also moving in with my partner this month.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is a critical moment of my life.
There's like five podcasts right there.
Right.
You know?
It's like sign her up for the next 5 months. Okay, so the I some of it I knew the person. Tell us more about that because my understanding and a little bit of memory was going to Dr. Joe Dispenza's, having a thing, and then another thing. Tell us.
Yeah, I ended up meeting my partner at Dr. Joe Dispenza's retreat, meditation retreat.
Were you there doing the breathing and the holding and the visualizing for a person, or what was your?
No,
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 okay, because
it
that's
was,
what
I
I heard.
mean, I went there just for myself. So I went to the first one, uh, the week long, and then the second one, I was not gonna go for another year or so. But something told me this is another thing about like following the nudges that come to you. It doesn't make sense most of the time. It's not logical or reasonable. But I just came back from the first retreat in November, and the next one was gonna be in January. But the next one is like shorter than the first one. It's called advanced follow-up, and you get to go once you did the first week long. And I'm like, I'm gonna do that like next year, not this coming like January. But like something nudged me, like maybe I'm gonna sign up. But you know how it goes. His retreats sell out so fast. Of course, I was on a wait list. So I'm like, okay, I'm on a wait list. And then I kind of forgot about that. There was holiday season. And then come January, I got an email from his organization saying, hey, there's room for you to sign up. And I'm like, oh. And then once I clicked the link, I think it only gave me like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to finish up that registration process. And I'm like, oh, am I gonna do this? I have to make arrangements for my daughter. But I'm like, okay, let's do this. Things will work out. And it did. And then the last day of that retreat, I happened to sit next to somebody who sat next to him the first day or second day. And she and I were talking, and like I was saying I'm from Sarasota and blah blah, and she's like, I met somebody from Sarasota too. Oh, he's right there. Let me introduce you guys together.
I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So first sight or kind of like over a little bit of time?
The first night I was just so excited that I found somebody local
There
that
you go.
who was also into meditation. I mean, I had been doing that Why Not Meditate podcast for quite some time by that time, but I never really met that big group of people who were passionate about meditation until I attended Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I'm like, this is my field. This is my, my tribe. And here I found a local person who I maybe we can do walking meditation or we can, geek out on on Dr. Joe's stuff. So that was my first impression. And then after a week after the retreat, I texted him saying like, "Hey, let's get together and then get coffee and get to know each other." And at that time, he was commuting between here and Pennsylvania for work. And he was supposed to leave on that Wednesday when I texted him, but somehow his flight got rescheduled,
Somehow they
canceled
escape us.
somehow. And he said, I was gonna leave today, but my flight got canceled, so I'm leaving on Sunday. So let's get together on Friday.
I love
So we did. And from
it. And
Now
there,
you're
yeah.
gonna move in together.
now you're moving it.
After 2.5 years, yeah.
Wow. I love it.
Hmm.
I
And
love it.
that's been a shift as well, because I've been so independent. 14 years of living as a single mother on my own.
Mm.
And my daughter used to go back and forth. She's been with me full time for the last 15 months or so, but I mean, I am so used to living by myself. And even though I
I'm
wanted a
excited and I'm
partner,
curious how it's going to go.
Yeah.
it's even though this is something I've wanted, like creating life together, building life with a partner, a part of me is like, this is unknown. you
Hmm.
know, am I gonna lose my independence? Am I gonna lose part of me?
Mm.
Can
Mm.
I feel as free as I do now, even within the container of a relationship?
Mm.
And it's been like one step at a time, kind of like trust test kind of thing. Like, can I do this? Can we do this together? And every step of the way, it was like, yes, yeah, I feel safe. I feel good about this. My body feels safe. And
Yes.
then it feels more expansive this way. Yes, this is the next step for my womanhood. This is
Mm.
the next expansion for not just for me, but for him. And as a couple together, this is the next highest path that we can take. So
Where do you see yourself on like 1 through 10, the vulnerability scale, like being able to be vulnerable?
I would say with him, 10. Like he
10.
would
Wow.
know without me even sharing. Like he
Wow.
would he's very tuned in. And I
Very
have to
good.
say that like thank God he meditates. I mean at some point I decided I'm no longer dating a man who doesn't meditate. I
Right.
mean I am podcasting about this and why do I entertain?
Like,
There
there
are
she
there
goes
are
again, doing her
there
meditation stuff.
Yeah. And I think Sonny and I were touching this just the other day about communication, and we just simple communicate, wanted someone to just be able, I mean, that's baseline. You've
Yeah.
raised the bar, like, yeah, they got to be a meditator, they've got to be in tune. We were saying, like, you know how to just write back on a simple text, like, got the text, just a couple. So we're going to raise it up for all the listeners because we were talking about that the other day. But the reason I asked your vulnerability arc is it often is always described as like the degree that you give someone access to
Mhm.
yourself or soul is the degree that which you have intimacy. And I'm not talking about sex or sexuality, I'm just like intimacy. And so if you're able to give the naked, naked part of your soul and give access to both the all of you, not just like the meditator, but the
Right.
person who is mad at meditation today, right? All of you. So I think it's good. I love asking the vulnerability thing because it's women have been trained also to back to your original thing, like and we heard this earlier, like if the feeling comes up, you don't want to be described as emoting or emotional or over explaining your feelings. So down it goes down. It goes. So you lose the um, ease at which you can be vulnerable. And if
Yeah.
you don't have someone who gives you emotional safety in their field, and this is outside of a word spoken, if your quantum field, your biofield does not give my body emotional safety, you don't have access. Denied. What's that? What's that one? She's like, denied, denied, denied. What's her name? She's one of the comedians. She would be like, big denied. And that's like the new bar for me. Like you don't give me, you might have all the words, all the thrills, all the things, but you don't give me emotional safety.
Mhm.
I like everything else, but when you're near me, your field does not put me in resonance or coherence. And I'll show you sometime. Even if I think I'm checking, I'm like, am I feeling this? Is this right? I have this, you probably know this. This is the heart coherence. So I literally put it on my ear. It's like I gotta double check this because and I put and if I'm not, I have a number that lets me know everything is and it works off my phone. I've got the app. And I literally will be on a call. They can't see me. I'll be like, this is not. And my thing is like dee 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 dee. Danger. Denied, denied, denied. So there's everybody has tools. You don't have to go to this extreme because your heart, but you can want something so bad you override
Mm.
your own knowing. And women, people, children, men and women, all of us, um, slowing down, it sounds like you're giving us also sex, slowing down and meditating helps us not override our need for safety in the instant gratification of it. So you
Yeah.
think this is going to make you feel good because it has this cover, but it's actually not good for you.
Well, you have to feel safe on your own first, right?
Yes.
Like you have to be sourced within.
Yes.
And that's first and foremost. Do you have a connection with yourself, the divine part of yourself?
Mm-hmm.
We cannot outsource that to anybody.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No, I'll let you tag the question next, Sunny. We go back and forth. We don't have a,
Yeah.
because it takes on a life of its own.
What's something that you are most proud of about yourself that you didn't realize you were going to gain from one of the hardest parts of your life of becoming a single parent? So, what's something that you took from that that you're like, you know what, this is my lesson learned, and I didn't realize I could be this if I hadn't gone through it?
Mm, I am most proud of having the courage.
Mm.
I believe courage is the admission for great life in
Mm-hmm.
any area of life. Having the courage to leave what was not serving for me,
Mm.
prioritizing myself, even though it might have been perceived as not the best decision for my daughter, but it was because I prioritized my well-being so that I could take a better care of my daughter.
Yeah.
And that will go on and on and on.
Yeah. If
I,
I had abandoned myself just to preserve the relationship, I couldn't live with myself, knowing that, like, okay, this is how my daughter thinks it is okay to,
Hmm.
this is what relationship is about, and this is what I can expect for myself too. I wouldn't be able to forgive myself. So I'm very proud of doing what really was hard
Hmm.
and making it work. I mean, along the way, it gave me reasons to evolve
Hmm.
and grow. And the meditation came in, breathwork came in, podcasting came in. I mean, all of those things I never thought that I would do came in. And here we are.
Yes.
What did your tribe look like while you were going through this transformation period?
At first, I didn't really have a tribe, so to speak. I
Hmm.
was, I think it's partly because I was working in an industry where I was not fully resonating with. I was not being the authentic version of myself. I was just doing the legal work because I was good at it and I had the experience and stuff. So I didn't really find my tribe there. When I started going through the meditation training and stuff, I started meeting people who were talking about the things I was excited about. But it was really after starting the podcast. I started inviting guests just because I wanted to have deep conversations with those people
Hmm.
whom I would probably never had the chance to talk to unless I had the platform for that.
Hmm.
And along the way, I mean, I probably have interviewed about 100 people by now, and they have become my indirect teachers.
Hmm.
Just by them sharing their own journey, their stories, they have become my tribe.
That's
That's
great.
awesome.
Do you bless your water? Back to our
Oh,
podcast. That was
yes.
our first podcast.
Yes. I loved our conversation.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah.
So we like to kind of always give people something to take and hold on to that they could do for a tool. So you've mentioned meditation and breath work. In closing, would you want to take us out on a breath work practice that's quick? That's
And also, maybe the book one more time that you said was really transformative for
yeah.
you.
The title is Becoming Supernatural
You
by
put
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
yeah,
Mm.
I have it somewhere here. I will put it in the link. I can't believe an hour went by already.
I
Yeah.
know.
Is there anything that you had written or thought of that you were like, I got to get this out before the podcast ends?
Um, I guess, yeah, like taking one step at a time without being able to see the big picture. I think that has really changed my life. That has paved my path. When I first started the podcast, I didn't know what I was going to build. And then that journey on its own took its path
Mm,
and it became its own thing. And somehow the guests came in almost divinely orchestrated ways. And that's something I couldn't have predicted if I had not taken the leap of doing it. Breathwork too, it came into my life and then I took an action to get trained to become a facilitator. And it was scary. Like I didn't feel comfortable guiding people, but I took one session at a time. And then I learned like, oh, this is one of my unique gifts that I can offer to
mm,
people. I did not know that when I first started. It
mm.
was just following my intuitive like nudges that got me to the next step and next step. And then like, oh, this is what I was looking for. I was wondering what I could offer. And it has become that gift. So
Wonderful.
just take actions. Actions create magic.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure because I will link everybody to your wherever they can find you.
Okay.
Actions. Say that.
Create magic.
Great magic. Yeah, I love that we're using the word magic here.
Yeah.
We love magic. All right. So, do you want to take us out on a breath practice to leave with the listeners? Something short that they can use in a
Yeah.
time of like, I just only have my breath right now.
Yeah. I
Sunny,
usually,
just want to check. Sunny, do you feel complete? Do you feel like you?
Yeah, no, I think that there was so many pieces of kind of questions that we naturally asked that came up in conversation. So, yeah, I think that this has automatically just been a very organic, awesome conversation. So I think this is perfect, a perfect way to end it with something that you practice that has worked for you. That again, this whole conversation is about helping other women find their own path and finding something to resonate with. And if this is a practice that helps you through your healing journey, we absolutely want to make sure that we leave this for somebody else because maybe it's going to lead them through theirs. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you. One thing I recommend with anybody, and the way I usually start my breathwork journey sessions is slowing down the breath. So we are breathing, like we're being breathed. Our breath goes on with or without our consciousness. However, excuse me, we can make it work for us. We can change the patterns, we can change the rhythm and speed, and we can use our breath for our advantage. And slowing down our breath does a wonder. So we are breathing all the time, but we are such poor breathers. We're breathing so shallow most of the time. We're not really doing the deep diaphragmic, belly breathing. So let's get kind of grounded. Put your both feet on the ground and inhale through your nose and really visualize the air going into the bottom of your belly through your solar plexus area. Feel the stretch and expansion through your chest. Feel your rib cage expand through your throat and through your third eye. And let it go in the opposite order from your third eye, throat, chest, rib cage, solar plexus, in your belly. Take as long as you can. Stretch your breath as far as you can. Let's do this again. Inhale through your nose, sending air to the bottom of your belly, solar plexus, rib cage, your chest, throat, your third eye, and then hold it there for a short moment. And then sigh it out. Ah. Just doing this a few times on your own, it shifts you because your body shifts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely felt it. With just, I think it was 3 breaths. Well done. Well
Thank
done.
you.
So we're going to make sure we have a place where people can find you.
Mhm.
I can't wait to share your wisdom. I'm super proud and honored to the thing that's coming through the most for me before I hand it over to Sunny to close is your comments about your voice, because that is the whole reason the show started. It was like the spin-off of Reclamation, but using the voice as a public service announcement for using your frequency as your pharmacy, voice being one way that we resonate out into the world. So the fact that you naturally started with your voice comment was like affirming for our particular show. So thank you. No,
Thank you.
final, Sunny.
Yeah, so I will go ahead and close us out. So thank you again so much, Masako, for joining us, sharing your story, sharing your practices with us. And thank you all for joining this episode of the Becoming Podcast. We look forward to sharing more healing journey stories with you, more becoming stories. We look forward to watching Masako on her podcast journey, her 50th year of life, her 151st podcast episode. We can't wait to watch and tune in. So please continue to join us on my becoming story as I work through my MPH program, and continue to follow us on Spotify, on YouTube. We look forward to seeing you again. And as always, make sure you turn on your notifications so you can be aware when the next episode comes out. So again, thank you so much. And we look forward to sharing with you again, and enjoy this beautiful sunshine that we're having right now. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Good to see you. Bye.